You ever notice how the smallest things, like the low growl of a Harley engine at sunrise, can set off a chain reaction that turns your whole world upside down? Yeah, I didn't think I'd be the main character in a neighborhood drama, either. But let me back up a sec. My life was simple, almost boring, and I liked it that way. I worked hard, minded my own business, and took pride in my house, my front yard, and most of all, my Harley. That bike meant freedom to me. It meant early mornings, coffee on the porch, nods from the mailman, and this feeling like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Our street was the sort of place where you knew your neighbors' faces, not their secrets, and we all just tried to keep the grass trimmed and the mailboxes standing straight. At least, that's how it seemed on the surface. The real heartbeat of our cul-de-sac? The Homeowners Association, ruled by Karen. No kidding, that's her real name. She was the queen bee of the HOA. Patrolling in her sensible shoes, sunglasses perched high, clipboard never far from hand. At first, it was almost funny how serious she took her job, until her rules started to sting. It started out subtle, you know? Little letters tucked in my mailbox, warnings about noise, about where my bike was parked, even about how long my porch light was on at night. At first I thought, okay, maybe I messed up. Maybe the engine was a little loud before 7. Maybe I accidentally parked with my tire on the wrong side of the line. But the letters kept coming, and they got less friendly. They turned into citations, and suddenly I was being called to meetings, made to explain myself in a cold, fluorescent-lit room, while Karen and her loyalists looked on like judges at a trial. But here's the twist most people missed. This wasn't just Karen being Karen. Her son, Tyler, had a personal bone to pick with me. I'm not sure if he saw my Harley as a challenge, or if he just liked the power trip, but he started fueling the fire behind closed doors. Next thing I know, the neighbor I used to wave to every Tuesday now crossed the street to avoid me. People started whispering, glancing away when I caught their eye. I wasn't just breaking the rules, I was enemy number one. Things got tense fast. I'd catch Tyler glaring at me from his window. Or worse, egging on the younger neighbors to file complaints about my attitude, my intimidating presence, even my dogs barking. Which, let's be real, he only did when Tyler strolled by just to rile him up. The HOA took every chance to squeeze me, changing the rules mid-game, stacking the deck, and making me feel like my own house was closing in around me. And nobody spoke up. Not even Bill next door, who I'd helped fix his leaky roof last fall. Fear has a way of turning friends into ghosts. But you know, I wasn't raised to fold when things got rough. My dad always said, stand your ground, but play it smart. So I started gathering my own evidence, taking notes, recording meetings, and quietly talking to a buddy of mine who worked in the city attorney's office. I knew if I made a move too soon, I'd lose, so I waited, building my case brick by brick, while the HOA kept digging their own hole deeper. Karen and Tyler had no idea. They thought I was just some stubborn biker, all growl and no bite. One night, it all came to a head. I was working late in the garage, tuning the Harley, when I saw flashing lights through the frosted glass. Police. Cars, plural, rolling up like I was running a crime ring, not changing spark plugs. Tyler was out there, smug as ever, arms folded. Karen hovered behind him, already on her phone. The cops came in hot, but I kept my cool. I showed them every permit, every letter, every bit of evidence that I was being harassed. When I told them, I'd already filed a formal complaint with the state attorney. You should have seen their faces. Yeah, that happened. That was the fuse, and the courtroom was the dynamite. I wasn't alone this time. 2 neighbors finally stepped up, one of them the quietest lady on the block, Mrs. Howard, who'd watched everything from behind her curtains. She backed up every word. The evidence was all there, recorded meetings, texts from Tyler, even a spreadsheet showing how the HOA fines tripled the minute I pushed back. Karen tried to play the victim, but the judge wasn't buying it. Neither was the local news, who decided this was the story of the month. The verdict? The HOA was ordered to back off, refund every bogus fine, and rewrite their rules with actual oversight. Karen was removed as president, voted out in a landslide. But the real twist? Tyler's little coup ended up exposing how he'd been targeting not just me, but 2 other families who just happened to not fit the neighborhood standard. The courtroom got real quiet when that came out. Suddenly, I wasn't just fighting for myself, but for everyone who'd been steamrolled by HOA politics. After the dust settled, the board changed. New faces, new rules, and actual transparency. I was asked to help draft a charter that would stop this kind of abuse from ever happening again. Meetings went from tense standoffs to actual discussions. People talked, people laughed. People finally started acting like a community instead of a kingdom. And the best part? That first morning after the verdict, I rolled my Harley down the driveway. No tickets, no nasty letters. Just the deep rumble of freedom echoing down the street. Neighbors waved again, and even Mrs. Howard came out to say hello. The air felt lighter, the sun hit different. It's funny how one fight can wake a whole neighborhood up, isn't it? But not everyone sees it the same way. Some folks say I went too far, others think I didn't go far enough. There's still a few who glare when I ride by, and maybe there always will be. That's life. Messy, complicated, never tied up in a neat little bow. Still, I'd do it all over again, because a home isn't just walls and a roof. It's the place where you draw your line in the sand. So what do you think? Was I right to stand up and push back? Or should I have just played along for an easy life? Drop your thoughts below. Who's the real villain here? The HOA or the guy who refused to back down? Let's hear your stories. Maybe it's time these rules got rewritten for good. Let me tell you, even after the big win in court, life didn't just snap back to normal. Not really. That's the thing nobody warns you about with these neighborhood battles. Sure, there's a verdict, maybe even a parade of small victories. But the dust never fully settles. I'd like to say everybody clapped me on the back and it was sunshine and block parties from then on. But, old wounds heal slow, and some folks would rather hold a grudge than admit they were wrong. The week after, the atmosphere was awkward. Some neighbors, the ones who'd cheered from behind their blinds, started stopping me on my morning walk, wanting to shake my hand or tell me how they always thought Karen was over the top. Funny how courage is contagious, but only after it's safe. Others, especially Karen's closest friends, gave me the kind of look you save for stray dogs or late-night noise. Tyler moved out a month later. Rumor had it he couldn't get a job locally after everything came out in the open. Karen herself? She just faded away. The last I saw her, she was packing up her garden gnomes and wind chimes, not saying a word to anyone. But the real change took root slow. The new HOA board held its first open meeting in the elementary school gym. Nobody barking orders, no one wielding a gavel like a weapon. For the first time, people actually spoke their minds. Bill from next door stood up and apologized, tears in his eyes, admitting he'd stayed silent out of fear, not malice. Even Mrs. Howard, the one who used to hide behind her curtains, signed up to be on the social committee. You could feel the neighborhood breathe again, like someone finally let fresh air in after years of stuffiness. I wish I could tell you it was all happily ever after. It wasn't. A new family moved in, young couple, 2 little kids, and within a week, someone left an anonymous note on their mailbox about their grass being too long. Old habits die hard, right? But this time, instead of staying quiet, the couple brought the note to the meeting. Instead of letting it fester, the board invited everyone to talk it out. No yelling, no threats, just a messy, honest conversation. That's what real change looks like: slow, uncomfortable, but honest. And then, out of nowhere, there was a twist I didn't see coming. About 2 months after the court case, I got a letter in my own mailbox. No stamp. Just folded neat and tucked between the flyers. Inside, just one line. Thank you for standing up, even when we couldn't. No name, no signature. I don't know who sent it. Maybe I never will. But, man, that hit different. It made me realize this whole mess wasn't just about me and my Harley or Karen and her clipboard. It was about every person who ever felt small or silenced or made to believe they didn't belong. One evening, while tuning up the Harley as the sun dipped behind the rooftops, I saw something new. A few neighbors wandering over, bringing lawn chairs and beers. Someone started talking about a block cookout. Then another asked if I'd help organize a toy drive at Christmas. For the first time in years, I actually looked forward to sticking around. Not just surviving, but belonging. The neighborhood started to feel like a community again, and honestly, that was worth more than any victory in court. Still, you can't ignore that in every crowd. There's always 1 or 2 people waiting for things to go back to the old way, maybe hoping someone like Karen will return. You never really beat pettiness for good. It just hides in the corners, waiting for folks to forget why they stood up in the first place. But here's the thing. When you push back once, you give other people permission to do the same. That's how you change the story for good. So, now it's your turn. Have you ever had to stand up to something bigger than yourself, even when it would have been easier to just let it go? Did it change you? Change your community? Or are you still waiting for someone else to make the first move? Drop your story below, because, trust me, somebody out there needs to hear it. Yeah, that's my story. Maybe it's yours, too.